Deanna here, and thanks so much for being here. So today's video is a book review, and the book I'm reviewing is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. So for anyone who has seen my haul video that I had recently, and I'll go ahead and leave it in the cards, I got this one a little while ago. It took me a little bit to get to it. And I have to say, honestly, it took so long because I was hesitant for getting into a book without having the rest of the series, because I know this is the first part of a 3-part trilogy, and so I kind of wanted to wait until I was a bit in a position where I could go out and get the next book if I really enjoyed this one and wanted it. So I'm going to start with a summary after that little introduction to The Cruel Prince. So I've written out my little summary on this book I have here for The Cruel Prince. As a human living in the High Court of Faerie, Jude has always struggled to fit in, especially when dealing with the disdain from Prince Cardan, youngest and most arrogant son of the High King, who feels she doesn't belong. Jude yearns to gain a place at the court and prove herself worthy. She will go to any lengths, but at what cost? Another reason that I was a little hesitant to get this book was just how talked up I've seen it, how much I saw like so much hype surrounding this book, especially on like YouTube and things like that, and just the booktuber community, and I think maybe even some rumblings that I see from TikTok and stuff. I had seen that this was pretty hyped up. Like, there's a lot of people that really talk up this book and say it was a really good book. So sometimes I'm a little hesitant when I go into books and I know that they are well liked, because I just like, oh, I don't want to be disappointed. So, and also I don't want to just give into the hype sometimes, right? So I'm a little late to the party, I think, anyways. So I think that kind of made me feel a little better on not reading it right in its prime time. So I thought, you know what, I do like fantasy-like books. I like books about like fairies and things like that, and other kind of worlds, and with the fact that this is a human girl that's kind of pulled into the fairy world in a very interesting way, I wanted to go ahead and give this one a read. Right off the hop, can I just say, I do love books with maps, for one thing. Absolutely love books with maps. And can we just talk about how cute this one is too? I absolutely love this map, and I did go ahead and reference it quite a few times while I was reading the story, just to kind of familiarize myself with like where maybe things are, and just kind of try to immerse myself in this book as much as possible. So this is a cute little map, and I was very happy to see it at the beginning of this book. The other thing is that I read the prologue, and in the prologue, anyone who's read this book, that is quite the prologue. I was not expecting it. I was not expecting just such a turn of events like right away, and just how brutal it was in some ways, just right at the beginning. Like, it instantly had me hooked right from that moment. And then I even loved like chapter 1, that it was just like a sentence. I know, kind of a waste of paper in some ways, but at least the back of the paper was used. And maybe it's like for some environmentalists, but I did enjoy like just that little blurb from Jude, because this is first person from Jude's point of view. Though, an interesting twist, the prologue is not from Jude's point of view. It's a third person, and so that was kind of interesting too, that you're like getting a bit of third person, and then you go in and get Jude's first person point of view. So that was really interesting in the way that Holly kind of married those two together to give us a bit of this insight into the story and giving us the character of Jude. This book too is very much your typical YA style type of book. Like, we've got our teenager, she's about 17 years old, I believe. She's dealing with some teenage stuff that kind of happens, but in like a fantasy world, because she is pulled into the land of the High Court. So that's a very interesting in a lot of ways. And I find that Holly's writing style was really easy to read. It was really fun and engagement, and I liked her writing style. I liked like the prose that there was. There's certain types of YA styles that sometimes are a little too easy almost, and they're seen more as like fluff reading, I would say. And then there's some that can get very like flowy and detailed and flowery. I feel like Holly kind of fits nicely in between. There's definitely some skill behind her writing, but it's not so much that I'm not engaged in the reading or it's just too much and too overdone. I find she had a nice little blend, and it was a really nice writing style. I will just say that I really enjoyed her writing style. Okay, so Jude in this book as well has a couple sisters that we're introduced to, and while I really loved Vivian, or I believe it's Vivi, or it's Vivi that she goes by, so probably Vivi, maybe Vivi, but I really loved her. Like, I wanted almost more of her because she had such an interesting character. She is half fairy, half human, so she is the one that fits in the most in this world, but yet she rebels against it the most. She hates it the most. She's the most that one that wants to get out. So I found her character actually really interesting and really like compelling in a way, because she is fighting against her father and everything, and just everything kind of going on. It was really a great read. I hope that's not like too spoilery or anything, because that really like that's her character. Her character is she is half fairy, half human, and she struggles with that all through the book, and I just loved her character. Whereas Jude and her twin Taryn are both full humans. They are humans, so they don't fit in as well in this world. And if humans are in this world, they are looked down upon. They're usually servants, or they're just not at the same level as fairies, because fairies are immortal and beautiful and wonderful, and humans have their flaws, and humans are humans and they're mortal, and they're seen as kind of lesser than the fairies. And Jude is treated a lot, and that's why Jude, it was a compelling character as well, because she is the opposite of Vivi in ways where Vivi is trying to get out and get away from the land of fairy. Jude just like wants to stay and like, no, I want to be here. Like, I want to prove myself worthy, and I want to be accepted by all the fairies and everyone in this land. So we have those two very polarizing type characters, but their relationship is like so beautiful in ways, because they both recognize in each other that maybe they don't really want what the other wants, but they still fiercely love each other, and they're fiercely loyal to each other. And then we had Taryn, which is, as I mentioned, Jude's twin. And I just gotta say, I kind of was left just like, about Taryn. Like, she wasn't as compelling. Maybe in like a softer way some people would find her, because she kind of just wanted to keep her head down in a lot of ways, and she just wanted to fit in as unassuming a way as possible. So she was very opposite from Jude in that way, but she also wanted to stay there, so she wasn't quite like her sister Vivi, but she also didn't have quite as much like backstory, I want to say, almost. Like, I got to know Jude, and I got to know Vivi in a lot of ways. Taryn, on another hand, not as much, but there was a pretty interesting line, something along the lines of Taryn says it to Jude about like, you don't want to look at me because I'm your mirror, or something like that. And that I did find very interesting, because maybe that's why we just aren't seeing as much as Taryn, because Jude almost goes out of her way to ignore this literal reflection of herself. So that, in a way, was that was intriguing, and that was an interesting line. I really did like that statement that was made. But again, I still felt like I barely knew Taryn and I wanted a little more from Taryn. So that was my feelings on that character. And now this is only book 1, so perhaps we'll see more of her, especially considering the progression of where the story goes and kind of what's going on. I don't want to spoil it, but maybe we'll kind of see more of those interactions as Jude develops in the next book. My last thing that I loved about this copy of the book, I don't know if this is across all the books, but it was in this copy, is I loved like the little touches of art, like around all of the starts of the chapters. And then you even had it like up here, you had like a little acorn, and in like some scenes, like where the scene split, you would get like this little sword type, little, I guess it's a sword, yeah. It's an elfin fairy type sword. So I loved those little touches as well. I like when something like that, it just draws me into the story more, and it makes the story more fun to me. So that was it on this review. I gave this one 5 stars so far, just because I did love it. I love Jude. She frustrated the heck out of me sometimes, but she also like kept me fascinated. I loved some of the twists that went on, some of the relationships she had. There was a little bit of craziness that happened. It got a little dark sometimes, but it was also really well written and really well done. And it makes me really excited for the next one, which is The Wicked King, which I haven't even cracked this open yet because I'm just like still kind of reeling from this one and just taking this one in before I jump into The Wicked King. But I obviously clearly went out and got it with some of my Mother's Day money and had to get the next one in the book, because before even finishing this one, I was like, I need to get my hands on the next one so that I can not have too much time in between. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick this one up. I've been carrying it around the house with me because it's time to get into The Wicked King. So keep an eye out. I will probably have a review posted on this one, hopefully soon. Hopefully soon after this video posts. All right. Well, that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give me a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I am going to go ahead and get this up on a blog post as well. So keep an eye out for that, and I will post it when it is available. From there, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves, and you will see me next time. Bye!